Hey everyone, my name is Dr. Corey. There's a lot of questions that have been coming up, especially with how the lungs is tie into our nervous system. And so let's get into it. So within the nervous system, there's two divisions of what's called our autonomic or automatic nervous system. It's the part of our nervous system that really controls a lot of the subconscious, unconscious. It's our behaviors, our quick reactions, our impulses, right? Our intuitive behaviors. And it is functioned around one half of what's called the sympathetic nervous system, meaning your fight, flight, or freeze. So it's an emergent situation. This is a part of our ramped up part of our nervous system, and it is actually very robust, but it is counterbalanced by the opposing force or the opposing side of the nervous system, which is the parasympathetic. And the parasympathetic is the rest, digest, and relax part of our nervous system. It is quite literally the opposite of our sympathetic. And the key between both the sympathetic and parasympathetic is to find homeostasis. Homeostasis is a principle within the body. You could almost call it a first principle. It is a strong principle, so much so that the body will try to achieve homeostasis no matter what the outside costs. For instance, there's many chronic conditions, whether it is diabetes, hypothyroidism, cancer, which really truly is the body's attempt to try to find balance within the body. And yes, things can get quote unquote messed up. We can get symptoms, side effects, disease states, but the body's going to try to do the best that it can with the situation that it has. And so, unfortunately, we have a lot of what we like to call, or I like to call, chronic stress within society. We're not necessarily running away from a bear, but we're definitely stuck in traffic. We're not always starving for food, but we definitely we have a plethora of food that actually causes a lot of stress on our system, whether that is seed oils, simple sugars, diet sodas, artificial sweeteners, you name it. This has an impact on our nervous system. And what I'm finding more and more is that not only are lungs the key because they're connected both to the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, the lungs can be controlled. You can take a breath. And also during this presentation and video, you probably have been breathing without even thinking about it. And so it's able to tap into this autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic and parasympathetic. And so breaking up the lungs into different areas and different fields, the upper part of your lungs has a lot more innervation that's connected to the sympathetic nervous system. The lower part of the lungs or the lower lobes are much more connected to the parasympathetic nervous system. Case in point, someone that is in a fight or flight mode or very stressed out all the time, where you see them mostly breathing? Up in their chest, right? Even maybe fast, shallow, not efficiently breathing, but definitely utilizing their upper lung fields more than their lower lung fields. And this can create a rise in cortisol, an increase in inflammation, and quite often you hear of, old relatives, grandpa, grandma, they get pneumonia. Where do they get pneumonia? Usually it starts in the lower lung fields and works its way up because they are in such a stressed out state and only utilizing the top half of their lung field. Other nervous system zones would be the front and the back. So the front part of our body is much more connected to the parasympathetic part of our nervous system. The back, sympathetic to protect us if we need to fight, flight, or freeze. When it comes to breathing, nasal breath, when you breathe in and out of your nose efficiently, smoothly, with ease and confidence, you're going to be activating your parasympathetic branch of your nervous system. If you breathe consistently with your mouth, you're going to be ramping up your sympathetic nervous system. And so most breathwork facilitators only utilize nasal breathwork techniques because their philosophy is that people are already stressed out, they're already triggered, they're already within their trauma response. And so utilizing any type of stress response is only going to make things worse. Now, there's a caveat to that. That's a possibility that is something that may happen, but I would rather rely on the 2.5 million year old ancient nervous system within us and activate dormant states so that we can find what homeostasis, balance within the body. Because truly, I think that we are a stressed out society, but we don't have peak experience or peak sympathetic moments so that our nervous system can have an opportunity to reset. We're just chronically stressed. We're right here over and over and over again. And our nervous system is set up to notice the difference, to protect us, to keep us safe. And so if we're having these stressful moments that don't create a peak moment, like when we used to be cavemen, cavewomen, where we were running away from a bear or trying to find food or shelter or basic needs, followed by long periods of parasympathetic activity, we're not going to be able to find that sweet homeostasis. Thus, disease creeps up. Thus, autoimmunity creeps up. Thus, inflammation creeps up because the body is not within that natural cycle of fully activating the sympathetic and fully being within the parasympathetic. And so, looking at the actual distribution of our nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system is distributed amongst 31 spinal nerves. And this is represented by the red dots that you can see in this sagittal diagram of the central nervous system. And it's just a depiction of that. And so, overall, that's 8% of the total nerves within our body. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a significant portion of our nervous system is devoted to the sympathetic branch, and for very good reason, to keep us safe. The parasympathetic nervous system, about 75 to 90% of the parasympathetic nervous system goes through the vagus nerve. One nerve, a majority of the input. So if you're going to be utilizing breathwork techniques and only sticking with parasympathetic, gentle relaxation techniques your entire life, yeah, maybe you may be able to balance your nervous system, but are you going to be able to reset it? Are you going to be able to find a deep parasympathetic response? I don't think so, because of how the nervous system is set up, just in the sheer quantity of nerves. Because if you can tap into 8% of the nerves within your body, rather than activating one nerve over and over and over again, you're going to be creating a strong stimulus. And so that's why, for me and Jessica, for the right people in the right situations, we think that long form breathwork journeys that challenge the nervous system in a very specific way into the parasympathetic to create a peak emotional experience will then trigger the first principles of the body, homeostasis, creating what we call as a snapback effect into a strong parasympathetic response, stronger than any type of response that you can possibly think of. Because how the body works is it wants to stay in balance. So if you stretch it one way, it's going to snap back even stronger and create opportunities to heal, opportunities to rebalance the nervous system, opportunities for people to have releases of acetylcholine, epinephrine, dopamine to levels that they've never had in their entire life. And so, looking at the nervous system and understanding how the lungs impact it, it's really important to understand too, if we want to create transformation with the body, if we really want to reach true levels of homeostasis, we do need sympathetic activity as well as parasympathetic activity. I'm Dr. Corey, one half of the Healing Couple. Thank you so much for listening to this video. If you have any questions or you have suggestions for future videos for me to create around health, wellness, and breath work, please let me know. This is my jam. This is stuff that I love talking about. This is stuff that me and Jessica have helped tens of thousands of people go through, transform their lives from the inside out with the power of breath. And you can too. This is just a little bit of the science, a little bit of food for thought for the mind, the brain. But truly, at the end of the day, it is about finding homeostasis, activating all parts of the nervous system so that you can truly come home to yourself. Thank you so much.